Hello and welcome to Gaia GPS. This is where we come and pull cards for the Astro week ahead. I am Mimi and I am here with Nicole Oman.
Hi, how are we?
We are interesting. And and we are going to kick off with the interesting astro that is going on right now and leading us into tomorrow. So we have the moon in Libra. The moon shifted into Libra actually yesterday on Sunday. But the moon in Libra tomorrow is tightening into the T-square. So I said, as the moon goes through the signs of Libra, Capricorn, Cancer, and Aries, it will be tightening, contracting, expanding this T-square energy. So tomorrow's the day. Tomorrow, Tuesday, is the day that we get this tightening of this T-square. And the tightening, it contracts us. It takes us in. And we have another interesting thing that we're going to talk about in tandem with this moon in Libra and this T-square in Libra. And that other thing that's really interesting, you can read, talk about this in the horoscope, so you can go listen to more about, the astrological stuff about this. But the sun is going to be conjunct Chiron. This happens once a year. So the sun bringing its vitality, bringing that Pisces energy, Chiron, the wounded healer. And there's also this conjunction of Pallas Athena. Now, if you're interested in mythology, go read Athena's story because it has a patriarchal spin to it. It's a very interesting story. I believe I haven't read mythology in such a long time. And so I'm like, this is like from the, archives, the Mimi archives from when I was really into it. I believe, isn't Athena daughter of Zeus? And I believe she came from his third eye. She came out of his head.
I don't remember.
I can't remember, but I'm like, oh my God, I remember there's a story, she has to do with the father, but regardless, Pallas has to do with patriarchal issues. And it's so fascinating because these things together, there's a strong energy of control going on. And this is where I feel like we're at with control. Resisting change, and the universe is like, the more you resist, the more it persists. Here comes the intensity. And so you have to recognize, you have to come into understanding change happens. And a big part of this change is recognizing this control paradigm. We've got to be the fool. Oh my God, it's so funny because I just got chills. Nikki and I talk for a long time before we do these things. And I kept mentioning how the universe keeps flicking me off the cliff. This is our control. Our control is hanging on to this cliff of knowledge, this cliff of what we know. And the universe is like, the cliff can't serve you anymore. The cliff doesn't have the nourishment you need. You have to go into this intensity. You've got to allow the change. The universe is not punishing you. The universe is freeing you from these own constructs within yourself. And part of these old constructs, I love it, the old constructs of patriarchy. And I said this the other week, and I'm going to say this again. I don't believe this is about going into the matriarchy. I think it's finding a balance between the authentic vibrations of yin and yang and finding its balancing harmony in this. And so part of this is finding this union, finding this balance within ourselves. Stop looking to control all these outside things that you cannot control and you aren't being asked to control. Go into change. Allow this shift to happen. So I'm feeling a really primal animal energy within me. Maybe it's the Aries. Got some Aries things going on. But I decided to pull from Animal Spirit Guides, and two came out. One jumped out after this, but this first card is what I'm loving this. Panther, look at this fierceness, call in this energy, and this is what Panther says. Annihilation of the unnecessary, the purging. Panther won't stand to see our growth or energy stagnate. Instead, it pounces into our lives, causing all kinds of havoc. Not saying tomorrow or this moon in Libra is going to be havoc, but change can feel havoc-ish to us, with the ultimate intentions of bringing us more towards fulfilling life. It's unexpected, uncomfortable, and sometimes feels devastating. But after all the dust clears, it's easy to see the Panther's wisdom at work. We've all been through these experiences, and they've made us better people. Trust that the Panther's journey always leads to a brighter place. And so we've got to face our control issues. We've got to face those places where we fear, and we've got to come in and bring that healing. Find this healing within. That healing is not outside of you. Chiron and the sun and Pallas together is like, this healing is within you. This healing is acknowledging where you think you have this illusion of control and you're holding on for dear life onto this cliff, which is crumbling under you as you speak. You know, this intensity of this year, the weather of this year is crumbling. But fear not, because from the goddesses, like Lakshmi, bright future, stop worrying. Everything is going to be fine. So trust this process, trust this change process. It's coming for you. It is not happening to you, it is happening for you. And zebra jumped out as well. Look at that little cute little triangle in the third eye of the zebra. And zebra says eccentric, creative, and visionary. What is your vision? Do you have Lakshmi too?
I do. I have Lakshmi. Yeah, well, I'll get there.
I'm excited. Yay. I saw who you had with it, Isis. So I'm sure interestingness. But zebra, what is your vision? What are you? I love those things. Like, stop looking behind you. You're not moving in that direction. Zebra's like, hey, we've got to keep moving forward. What is this vision? You're trying to control this thing in this past. You're like, I'm going to hold on to it for the sake of everything, the sake of my life. And it's like, no, you're not going in that direction. Retrace, refocus, remove yourself from that and move into this thing. Let go of this control out here. And I pulled in my horoscope for today, so for Monday, and then my horoscope for tomorrow, I pulled the let go card and the totality card in both of those things. We've got some letting go to do in order to move forward into this. Let go of that control and see what the universe is wanting to bring into your focus. That's what I'm getting for this energy. Nikki?
I have a very similar too. It's really interesting because when I asked, I was like, is there anything that they can actually do? And they were like, no, this is actually just something that needs to be played out, because what we're seeing is what's happening. And I'm going to go a little clearer on this. So yesterday we had the moving into Libra. So this is our own relationship, to ourselves, but like how those relationships affected us and affected the way that we have our relationship to ourselves. So because it has the patriarch, this palace energy, a lot of times we have to look right back to the relationship between us and our fathers, because the way that we relate to the patriarch, or the way we relate to what's going on right now as a society, and we're still being ruled by a patriarch that most people aren't really liking. And the funny thing about this Gemini that we have as our president is some people think that he is like, what, in this election he was the hero or he was the villain. And it's like a lot of what we're projecting onto him is what we see as the patriarch. Okay. So it's our paradigm and our own relationship that we have with the patriarch. And so what we have to do, and with this Sun conjunct in Pisces, and also, so it's all like on top of each other, the Sun and Chiron, that there's healing here. So we're healing our patriarch. We're healing the relationships with our fathers. Even if our relationships with our fathers were decent, we still have to look at the way that we still look to daddy. How do we look to daddy? How do we feel? And a lot of what the patriarch represents is the way that, it's structure, the way that our fathers gave us structure, gave us boundaries, gave us a certain sense even of love or understanding, or did they give us enough discipline? Because the way the patriarch goes is it has to hold, especially masculine energy. Feminine energy, we get to be creative, we get to be fluid, we get to be in the more of the emotional, we get to be more in the void space. And so a lot of what women do are very misunderstood, because we actually create life. So as we create life, that's not a logical thing. We don't have to think about creating life. Our beautiful bodies do it for us. So it's kind of a logical process. But what we look for, what the masculine does for us, is give us rules, structure, and that control. But does rules, so you have to look at your relationship between rules, okay? Because if you feel stagnant and suppressed by rules, then rules aren't working out. But how can discipline, and not like I'm going to beat the crap out of you discipline, but like the discipline, like self-discipline, making goals, actually taking steps. How is your relationship with these energies, your structure, your discipline, your patriarch. Did you feel nurtured by them, or did you feel suppressed by them, or did you feel beaten by them? So we're getting out of exhaustion, and don't exhaust yourself by trying to do much of anything. Like do trying to find what this is. You're going to exhaust yourself if you try to change yourself or try to, you got to allow that, you have to allow the patriarch to change. You also have to allow yourself to change your relationship. And that is going to be through surrender. And it's going to be through more of a feminine process. So I'm getting the inner voice. So the only way to navigate this, the best way to navigate this is through meditation and really focusing on sensations and just going, what is that? And being curious and staying in the observer. Because if you stay in the observer, what can happen is you don't have to control the change or force or manipulate, because we don't want to manipulate ourselves. What we want to do, however, is we want to allow change to occur. And there is a beautiful, beyond the workings of the mundane mind, there's a other construct called consciousness. And consciousness is that the one thought, or the I am. And as that is our observer. I know this is like kind of all over it's not all over the place. It's high concept. But if we can get in the observer mind and not go back into our pain, and we observe our relationships with Father, with discipline, with structure, with provider, with safety, with discipline, what happens is, without the judgment, the labeling, and we can see this from the one mind, or the inner voice, or the intuition, what will happen is there will be a coming apart, like the panther. We have to come apart so we can get restructured in something that is a little bit more blessed. But you can't do this this blessed card in reverse says, just stay humble, just stay humble. You can't force this. You have to allow this process to happen to you. And that's scary, because that can get us in a victim. I don't want something to happen to me. Everything, when life happens to me, then I feel like, like I feel like I have no choice. But this is actually a good thing. Chiron's here going, yeah, you don't have a choice. We have to do this together if we want to make the changes that we want. Like if we want to see the changes we want. So this is all past life. I got the past life card, and I got the past life card. So what I'm getting is, so I'm getting a little bit of energy, and I don't usually go to like too much of things that I don't have like a logical explanation for. But this could be also the same dynamic we went through when the Atlantean stuff had happened. So the breaking apart. So we're having to go through this again. And that's okay. It's different this time. You might have had an incarnation from a certain, maybe like Atlantis, when this all kind of broke down from the patriarch and everything sunk. And so you might be going through extreme amount of fear, and you have no idea where the fear is coming from. Just let it be. Let it be. Let it be. Let it be. And as you let it be, what happens is bright future, I have the same card. So this is not, they're not trying to tell you this to be scary, but there will be a coming apart to bring a new bright future. So here's Lakshmi with the elephants in the water with the sun over here. It's like, you don't have to go in the water this time. She's stopping it. But we have to allow this process to happen, and for all of us to have a new seed of the patriarch enter us, and then it be nurtured to grow. But for the new seed of the patriarch, we have to surrender and allow that to happen. And in that process might feel a little like, ow, what is that? That's something new. But that needs to break past the cracks of our own suffering that we had with the patriarch. I have the fighting card. So we got to allow it to kind of crack ourselves free of the old paradigm.
That's so fascinating. I mean, because I'm one of the people who have had the Atlantis stuff surfacing, and a few weeks ago, I went on Atlantis rants out of nowhere. I've never really given a crap about Atlantis, really. Like, I had a thing come up a few years ago, and I was like, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I was there when it ended, but I started ranting. I was like, it was the men in Atlantis, totally ranting. But the thing is, I think taking, what Nikki was saying, like, the thing about, the patriarch, recognizing the patriarch within, and one of the big shifts for patriarchy within for me, shifting my shadow king within, was shifting the word responsibility. And so, like, if you watch my horoscopes, that I always talk about responsibility. How are you responding to what's showing up? Because my parents would always be like, it's your responsibility. And so changing responsibility, where like everything in the world and making everything okay, like I had to be in control of it, to I have an opportunity to how I'm going to respond to anything, including any of this energy, any of this old stuff coming up, that I can allow my response to be authentic to me. That was a huge shift for me. So I hope that can help anybody else who might be going through any of this stuff. And I'm going to be writing about my Atlantis stuff. I'm just still trying to make sense of it, to bring it to words, because it's not logical and I don't understand it necessarily, but I do at the same time. Do you have anything else to say?
No.
Good. Cool. So the next thing, we just had Aries shift into Mercury today. This happened at 2:07 p.m. today, Pacific time. And we're going to be working through, through the month of March, but Aries will be going, or not Aries, Mercury will be going retrograde in the sign of Taurus and come back into Aries. So we're going to have a lot of this Aries process. Aries, God of war, energy of the I am vibration. And what's interesting, because I think this ties a lot in with what we were saying, I've got a lot of feminine energy. I got Aphrodite going on here. I've got the patient mama here. I've got in the flow going on, and I've got this trust energy. And so through our action, through our communication and action, we are not meant to be taking the militant energy of Aries. I think we're meant to honor the passion, honor the expression of our passion right here in our goddess Aphrodite through this energy. So we are so used to expressing ourselves through words, but this may be a call to express these feelings to come through you in another way. So speaking of expressing these things coming through you in another way, and I have one more point that I want to get into with this, I got the peacock as well. So there's like this energy of beauty, really allowing your beauty, your own personal, unique expression to come through. Oh, and peacock, inner beauty and compassion, letting this come through. One of the things that came up though around this, all these cards, and also I have the moment to moment card, which is also, feminine. Feminine is always like changing. It's here one moment and it's here the next moment. But one of the things that I'm getting is, Aries is the sign of I am as well. And so with Mercury and I am, this is a time, and especially with Mercury about to go not about to, but in a little while later going retrograde back into Aries, and with Venus now retrograde in Aries, this is a time to get vigilant about your self-talk. Are you treating yourself like a goddess? Are you in the flow of allowing yourself? Do you recognize yourself as this divine being birthed into this human world? How are you treating yourself? Do you see yourself as the peacock? Do you see this unique beauty that you give to the world? Or is your self-talk, I'm not good enough, I'll never be good enough, I don't see my beauty, I don't even know why anybody would want me here? Those might be extreme versions, but this goes back into what Nikki was saying about being the observer. I had this instance come up the other night where I fell into this old consciousness thinking. And I sat there and, old me would have gone into all the reasons why this was true. Like, I don't even remember what it was that I was thinking, but it was something along the lines, not good enough. And I was like, well, I'm going to just hold that part of you right now that thinks it's not good enough. We're just going to be with this. We're just going to sit here. Instead of the old patterning of going, deeper into that thing. Aries, new cycle. You have an opportunity to treat yourself as this divine goddess. So I think that there's these multiple expressions, and there's that compassion in that peacock card too. There's multiple expressions with how this may work for you. It may be about expressing yourself physically and expressing your creativity, expressing the feminine, allowing the passion to come through you in these new ways. Or it may be about being vigilant about your self-talk, because Mercury is that communication, that mind energy, and it's always going. Which direction is it going for you? And are you propping yourself up in this way? Well, the universe is saying you have an opportunity to see yourself with the beauty of a peacock. But imagine if you were like a peacock on an island full of, stallions. You may think that you're kind of funny looking, and I think a lot of us get stuck in that paradigm that we don't see our beauty because we're always comparing ourselves to the stallions out there. It's like, oh my God, the vibrance of those feathers, are you kidding me? Those stallions would be lucky to have those feathers. But they have their own hair. They have their own swishy tails and manes. So you've got to find these good things in yourself and start boosting them through your personal self-talk. And I think this Mercury in Aries, along with this Venus retrograde in Aries, is helping us get into that. Just that.
I have very similar, and we're going to go, because there's a Mercury retrograde, we're going to have to, go. They're saying, don't worry if you're not ready by the time, a normal Mercurian thing happens. We're going to go back into some of the Aries stuff, so we're going to be in between these lessons for a bit. And so don't worry, in due time, you'll be ready to really get the lessons that this is trying to get us. Because after Aries is Taurus, the Taurian energy is going to try to ground it. And so there's still a lot of lessons we have. I know that sounds weird, but it's going to take us a little while to process because we're going to create. Aries and Mercury is trying to create new self-talk, like Mimi said, and new identities that we nurture in ourselves. And so there is something being awakened in you where you're being able to see yourself in a new way. Maybe all your life, instead of being just like the peacock was told that it was a duck, and it didn't believe that it had these beautiful feathers, that it was like this kind of plucked out duck, and it was kind of ordinary and like the lion in sheep's clothing. So the duck was, no, you're not a peacock, you're a duck. You're not a peacock, you're a duck. And now we're going, wait a minute, I just saw a mirror for the first time and I don't look like the other ducks. Okay, so now what do I do? Because I still have this old pattern or this old story in my head that is telling me that I need to play by certain rules, that I'm not good enough, that I have to like all these different things. So we're having to nurture a new vision of ourselves, a new self-talk. We have to look in the mirror and say different things to us, like, you can do this, or it's finding a new certainty or a new faith in ourselves. And it's one thing to have faith in God, but that full moon in Virgo was telling us not just faith in God, faith in you. Faith in God, faith in you, faith in God and faith in you. And you have to have as much faith that you have in God. You have to have as much faith in yourself as you have in God, or you have to have as much faith in God as you have in yourself. So you got to match these in alignment, because these two things want to work together. And if you are not seeing yourself as this divine spark, if you're not seeing yourself as something that's worthy because of just for your very existence on this planet at this time, you are worthy. And if you're not being able to see your own gifts and your own worthiness, then no one else is going to be. Like, how are they going to trust you if you don't trust yourself? So you have to come from a place of the self-talk in yourself and let go of the old ideas, the old conditioned behavior of you're a sheep or you're a duck. And take ownership of what beautiful animal that you want to be. A lion, a peacock, I don't care, pick one. An elephant. I don't care what you pick, whatever you want to be, right? And it's not just like, oh, everybody's a shiny, snowflake or whatever. Who cares? Be a friggin' snowflake if you're a damn snowflake. Yay, like people call people as a term of like
negativity
as a snowflake. I'm like, have you seen a snowflake? I'll take it. Like, cool. Like, be the snowflake, be what you want to be, but ground it, right? So don't just be like this elegant snowflake. Like, I'm a fucking snowflake, and this is what I, excuse my language, but this is what I do. This is who I am, and this is what I bring to the world, and take action on that, right? So the Aries and Taurus, you're gonna, as soon as it goes out of Mercury retrograde and it starts going direct, you're going to be able to take action of these new identities. But this is the time to make the identities. This is the time to take ownership of the take ownership of those things. We have to, whatever you garden will grow. So this is the gentle gardener. So if you want to continue to nurture the weeds, the bad opinions, the conditioned behavior, you're still going to grow the same thing. You're going to grow weeds. Or you could decide to take those seeds that you started to see, that who you truly are, and nurture and identify with those instead. And then those will start to garden. That's why we have to be a little more patient, because this isn't going to be a very quick thing, because it has to ground into your very foundation. Two things that will help, a couple things that will help you. Do some writing on, like, own them. So I am this, I am this, I am this, I am a healer, I am a writer, I am a speaker, I am a whatever you want to identify with. I am a peacock, I am a lion. Take those, own those, and then start speaking them safely to the people that would be able to receive them. The more that we take ownership, we say them, we speak them, we make them expressions, what happens is they become more real. And to just hold that true integrity. The integrity is important. And this is part of your integrity. If you're saying that you're something that you're not because somebody told you that when you were a kid, you're not holding your true integrity. And then it's all, it's you could believe those things and wish those things to happen, but if you're not really taking action or taking ownership or taking like really grounding into that identity, then they're just going to be lost seeds that aren't going to grow.
I love it. I love it. It's perfect. And as I'm like sitting here with my cards and I like open up to, I did it again. Dragon. I'm a dragon.
That's who I am. I'm the mother of dragons, actually. So, yeah.
Oh, yay, dragons. Be the dragon. So it's really interesting, the way this week is unfolding, because we then have the moon shifting into Scorpio. And the moon in Scorpio energy has so many nice, interesting themes. But the one that's coming up for me with this particular transit is the energy of power. And fascinatingly enough, I got past lives and control. So here goes that theme that we've been talking about through the whole thing. So I'm not going to go back over all this stuff, but I'm just going to add in that I feel like a lot of times, and we've been shown this over and over, and this is where we have to start breaking these paradigms, is that control is the power. And now we're learning, wait, control isn't the power. Mastery. This is the power. Self-mastery, coming into the self. Now, what I have that's interesting with this, I've got two cards that are so different and yet so similar. I've got White Tara, sensitivity. And this is where you have the control. Sensitivity. You're becoming increasingly sensitive. Avoid harsh relationships, environments, situations, chemicals. Notice these things in your life. People, places, food, whatever. And notice how they're affecting you. And if it's a harsh thing, ask yourself why you keep entering into it. Is there a lesson there for you? Or is this maybe a self-punishment thing? Or is it like a should kind of thing and you're not being true to yourself? So speaking of sensitivities and purification, I got Vulture. So White Tara and Vulture, or White Tara and Vulture. There we go.
This makes sense now. Okay, I get it. All right, sorry. These cards didn't make sense, and now when you're talking, I'm like, oh, they make sense.
Good. I'm glad. The Vulture is guardian and purifier, essential for rebalance. And the Vulture is perhaps the most misunderstood creature of all time. This intriguing bird balances our ecosystem and prevents the spread of disease. It does the dirty work that no one else wants to do and cleans up our messes. The vulture appears when there's situations that need purification in our life or brought back into balance. Remember that the vulture is greatly undervalued. What you thought was a mistake or tragedy is a blessing in disguise. That always reminds me of Nikki's God's rejection is your protection thing. But what I'm feeling is that you may have to send some boundaries down. Pisces energy, which we're finishing up in this week, you know, this is the end of Pisces, these last few days. Pisces energy isn't necessarily about boundaries. But this moon in Scorpio is like, hey, not everything is for you. Not everything that's out there is good for you. And you have to be this master. And that's not about like trying to control somebody else. It's not trying to make somebody else into what you want them to be. This is taking care of yourself. This is that responsibility. This is showing up for yourself. And so we're being asked to lay this work through this moon in Scorpio. You know, it's a 3-day thing. Or 2.5-day thing. It's going to move in, move through. But you may have these situations coming up that you're suddenly, oh, I don't feel good. I don't feel good when I talk to this person. I don't feel good when I eat this food. This is your chance to purify that. This is your chance to release that. This is your chance to show up for yourself. Release that energy of control where you're trying to fix this outside thing and instead being like, no, I'm going to be responsible for myself. I'm going to take care of myself. That is where your power lies. That's empowerment. That's the highest vibration of Scorpio. Transformation, empowerment. This is how you step into that energy. There's nothing outside of you that needs to be done in that case. So we have this option. And if you need that help, call on White Tara to help you lay this framework for yourself, to help you empower yourself into this energy. Now, I do want to mention that I got the mind and the guilt cards. So this may be your stumbling blocks. Oh, I shouldn't do that. I should be kind. I should talk to this person. I'm going to feel bad. This person doesn't have anybody else. I keep thinking of all of the cards, but like, this just not your problem, not your issue. You have to take care of yourself. The other stuff is when you're trying to control the world, when you're trying to balance the world on your shoulders. You don't have to do that. So if you find yourself falling into these tricks, come back into empowerment. How can I empower myself? How can I be responsible for myself in this moment? Nikki?
Oh yes, this is what I am totally with you, girl. Like I'm like, what are these? And then you start talking, I'm like, oh. So I'm going to start with the card from the maps from Colette Baron read. I got Dragon's Lair, of course I did. So this I'm going to tell you because there's one thing with a Scorpio energy, and it might be a Scorpio that comes in and gives you this lesson, but there's a seduction. Right? So maybe there's somebody who's like, oh, who comes back into your life who you had an issue with and is like, oh, I want to talk about it now. Or like, I need it. Can we work things out? This is not your cross to bear, right? So this is red flags should not be ignored. Don't be seduced into learning a lesson that's going to hurt your heart. Temptation and intrigue abound, but be careful because you can't win this particular challenge. Heed this gentle warning about wanting and longing and the fantasy of belonging to somebody or something or an identity that doesn't have any substance or longevity. If you ignore this alarm, you're going to go into the dragon's lair. Choose another path. Treasures lie elsewhere. Warning, 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 warning. There's somebody that is going to come in that's going to seduce you onto an adventure. Sometimes we need to we need to learn courage and go into these dark crevices and like learn about ourselves and all this stuff. But this is the other side of that. When does these dark crevices turn into sensationalism and drama? This is someone seducing you into drama, okay? And so we don't want to go back into those things. You think they may have changed. It might be an ex that comes back. It might be an old friend that comes back. It might be someone who caused your life a total massive amounts of destruction and drama and crap. And they're like, but I'm different now. Let's work it out. No. No. Don't do it. Don't do it. Be the observer, please. Be the observer of this and go, oh, that's nice. Like, thank you. I'm glad that everything's working out. But you have to take your stance in your own worthiness. This isn't about going to courage and going back into this dragon's lair with this dragon who's not empowered, who wants to just eat ya. This is about you finding your worthiness. So this is about you saying no to things that don't feel right, or no to people that don't align, right? So this is you sitting in the middle of this without judging them, really. It doesn't need to go in a judgment, but it also doesn't need to go back into the old paradigm of this temptation of like, you might have hope for them, immense amount of hope that they did change. But that's great. Cream rises to the surface. The truth bubbles to the surface. And honestly, if they are, they'll keep coming back. Right now, if this is the first time they've come back to do this, gently say, that's great, that's beautiful, good for you. I'm happy for you. I'm happy that you've changed. Click. You don't have to go back into it with them, is what they're saying. Is like, don't get seduced. Be worthy, allow your worthiness to be strong enough to say, no thanks, I'm not ready yet. I'm really not ready yet. You're sensitive. You're too sensitive. There's still a wound there in you, and you don't want to go back in with them, because I actually don't think they've changed yet. Just a little gentle warning of it. Because I do feel for a lot of you guys in the Scorpio moon, there's going to be a temptation to go back into an old pattern with somebody. And you don't want to do that again. You've learned. It's the echo process.
It's funny, an old pattern just texted me, and I'm like laughing. I'm like, ha ha ha.
Oh my God, really? You had it come? Oh my God, that's so funny. And then so, no.
No, thanks. But that's funny. I'm like, there it is. Perfect timing too. You know, could have texted earlier. Nope.
No. When I'm going, red flag.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, oh, this is hilarious. All right, so let's finish out this week. We are finishing out the week. We are finishing out Pisces with the moon in Sagittarius. And I don't know if you remember, but we began Pisces with the moon in Sagittarius. So, you know, the last few degrees of Pisces, I like to say about Pisces is, as the final sign of the zodiac, it encompasses all the energies of the zodiac, and especially those final degrees. They are juicy with universal energy. But what's interesting, again, I get multiple cards that are, you know, different cards, same vibration. I've got the slowing down card, which this card is like, stay home. Be one into yourself. Be the turtle. You're always home where you're at. And I've got the Vesta card, which is the card of home. And so, you know, this may be a time, these, you know, the last few days. So it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Those are the last few days of Pisces, and that's the moon in Sagittarius. It's about staying home, getting creative in your life. You know, we did a lot of work this week. I feel like this is going to be actually a good astrological work week. So we did a lot of work this week. We did a lot of breaking through these old patterns. Now get into your creativity. Get into this vision. Get into the unlimited possibilities in your life. So from the animals, I love this card. It's such a sweet card, which is so funny because, you know, you don't usually think of lizards as sweet animals, but I think they actually can be incredibly sweet. I've known some sweet lizards in my day. Anyways, I got the lizard card. And it's sensitive, sensitive to the subtle, the dreamer. And it's saying returning to your inner artist. Your inner artist is like, to me, the essence of creator, the essence of God universe within you. And so this creative potential is bubbling up through this energy. So you may, you know, moon in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is like, I know all the people. I'm going to go out and do all the things. But this may be a time to stay close to home, slow down, and instead put that energy into some of your creative pursuits. Even if the creative pursuit is imagining, daydreaming, the kind of life that you'd like to put in, allowing yourself, that inner artist, that creator, to put it into being by just imagining the possibilities of what can be. So I really get that this is a time to kind of integrate, slow down, be quiet, and just see what comes up through your imagination. Because Pisces and Sagittarius together, imagination out the wazoo. So there's divine potential in it. And this may be also part of breaking through the chains. Some of those chains are always like, I have to do, I have to do, I have to be here, I have to be seen, I have to be done, you know, all these things. And it's like, hey, you broke the chains, you broke that old control pattern. Instead, let's sit and see what you can reimagine into your world. Nicole?
We have Gemini matching stuff. Like this whole thing, this today was been like, all right, ditto. Nah, ditto. Ditto. So ditto. Yes. So what I'm getting is in the past position, I have exhausted by all the efforts that we've done, all the learning, all the growing, all the things that we've been doing. Exhausted. We're tired. We're tired. And so you don't have to go on this big adventure to have so much beautiful, innocent wonder and happiness in your life. Again, I have the innocence card as well. Sit there and see the beautiful buds on that might be starting to spurt from the trees. See the like this master is totally engulfed in this beautiful relationship with this mantis, and they're having a conversation. I mean, that's like the childlike beauty. They look at their hands and they think it's the most amazing thing ever. Where can we find that simplicity, that innocence in our own lives already? We may want more money. We may want better relationships. We may want all these different things. But if we can't see the milk and honey right here, right what you have, where's the beauty in your life? And I have the cleaning house, just like I have a house card too. And this is like, if you can't even take care of your house and clean your house and do the simple things, then why are you going to have more? If you can't take care of what you already have, why is the universe going to give you more? Right? If you can't appreciate what you already have, why is it going to want to give you more? It's like the kid who has 1,000 toys that every time it goes to Toys R Us, it's like, I want something else. And it's like, you don't play with the toys you have. Go home and get rid of half the stuff, and maybe we'll talk about getting you something else. It's like, if you can't appreciate or have gratitude for, I always say, you know, I see a lot of attitude, but where's your gratitude? You can't have a new toy if you don't have gratitude for what the opportunities we already have right in our like the simplicity of everything. And so this is kind of what it's saying is just clean your house and see the milk and honey. You might find a 20 in your jacket pocket. You might find things, you might find little treasures, you might find treasures in old simple things. I also have this, the vision they just gave me is look at some pictures. Like really, like go in, like when you're cleaning house, go find that old box of pictures that you have and look at certain things and laugh at certain friendships that have broken up, and just laugh and enjoy what that brought you, or an old relationship, or an old job that you had, or an old party that you went to and you were totally 20 years old and totally doing something stupid, and think and go back to that memory and really laugh and see how little wonders that you had in your life, or little people that showed up. Some of the pictures I have are people I've only met like 3 times, and they made such an impact in my life. And if you can find the gratitude in those little simple adventures that you had in the past, you might be able to realize that your life was full of way more beauty than you're allowing yourself to see at the moment. That's it.
I love it. Cute. Well, then that's it for this week. Finishing up Pisces. So, you know, be in this water because here comes the fire next week. I don't have any specials going on right now. Do you have anything?
Nope, I don't.
Then we're done. But you can always find us, Gaia Blooming. Nicole Oman, she posts her daily things on the Gaia Blooming Facebook page every day, or you can find her on her personal page, Nicole Oman. And
tomato, tomato.
What?
I said tomato, tomato. Same thing.
Yeah, it's all there. Check us out. You know, we can help you through your daily day, and sometimes I get a little kitty support. I've got a little circling kitty right now. Yeah, but that's it. So thanks for joining us. Thank you all, our live viewers. It's always so fun. And we will see you next week. Namaste.
Namaste.